Welcome to the runeblade.
Isn't it like that? Isn't it like that song? Like, ow, ow,
Ah,
ow, show them, girl.
grr. I'll probably just start using all of these things
Hit it, hit
as
it, hit it,
noises.
hit it, get it, get
Ah,
it, get it, get it.
yeah.
We need a
Right, everyone,
Hamish
welcome
soundboard.
to the Push the Point deck tech that Hamish is doing for us today.
Hi,
I have started recording, so thank you for that little intro.
not a problem.
So, we're here talking about the hottest new deck in the Flesh and Blood meta. No, it is not Briar, though we will have a Briar deck coming up soon from Simon, who also made the top 8 of the UK Nationals. But today it is all about Hamish. Hamish, what hero did you play? I mean, I can
Well,
literally see it on the screen.
da 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 da, Viserai. This is I was actually hoping to use real life cards for this, but we've settled with the TTS for this one. So I
Yeah,
hope,
we can zoom and stuff on TTS, so hopefully it's a little bit easier for you to follow along at home or wherever you're watching.
and hopefully magical editing. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, so you've all seen the deck now. It is on the Fab TCG website, and yeah, I'm sure you're all probably sitting there wondering when you're seeing these 80 cards. How do you combine all these cards together? It's one of those tricky things. So hopefully today, uh, I'm going to break down everything about what is the core deck, what is the sideboard, what sort of cards you want to put into the sideboard depending on the matchup, and just the general thought processes over what you need to play when you need to play it. It's a very 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 fun deck, and I will say it's very complicated at the same time.
Yeah. So what would you Viserai is obviously a very popular hero, always has been since Viserai came out.
Hmm.
And traditionally, people often associate Viserai with these OTK builds.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that this is not anywhere close to that kind of build, is it?
No, not
What are you trying to do when you're playing this deck? What is your game plan?
right. Well, first off, we are just well, you're trying to maximize the value of what Runeblade is all about, which is pushing as much split damage as possible. Thanks to this new little weapon here, it is now the possibility of making that dream come true is just amplified even more. And I'll go through just a bit of the equipment as well. I mean, this is pretty much the bread and butter equipment that you wanna see. Um, so yeah, with the split damage approach, it's pretty nasty. This is a giant fridge, right? And I don't know. It's just this is where things got to get. I need focusing down, boys, when it comes to going through this stuff because there's so like much to talk about. But this is mainly a giant big fridge. Everyone likes this just to get a rune chant going. This can create some absolutely massive, huge plays when you've got a good load of rune chants going because you can make the next non-attack and attack action cost less. But the big thing that made this whole thing just go absolutely insane is the spellbound creepers, and purely because forcing non-attack actions to get go agains is just bananas,
Mm.
absolutely bananas.
So are
So
you?
just
Yeah.
Oh,
just before we go into the meat of the deck, Hamish, I know personally you've been testing this deck for more than the last month leading up to nationals.
hmm,
You've been a Viserai fan from the beginning. You've always had a Viserai build up your sleeve.
yeah,
When Tales of Aria came out,
hmm.
what was it that pushed you towards building a Viserai deck again and with serious competitive intent?
So when it came out, I basically it was creepers really that inspired me to just get going and having a look again because I knew that Viceroy had a lot of pretty good non-attack action cards, but it was just the really really fascinating interactions you can get out of this card.
Mm.
It was more me thinking like read the runes is really good, but read the runes never. The read the runes' biggest problem is that it doesn't have go again, right? it's one of those cards that you'd love to play, but it just ends the turn, and you kind of forced to, you know, play Meridian Skies, play the follow-up attack, get it go again, and then you kind of want to use your weapon and then read the runes. But you also want to play read the runes as well because you want to go, oh, cool, I'd love to end my turn with loads of rune chants, but it takes the tempo away. It then usually read the runes ends up being that card that goes, well, I block up a lot, so what am I going to do? I'll play read the runes and get 3 rune chants in because I'm not really going to do anything special anyway. So it sort of becomes a setup turn after a big block move, if that makes sense. That's how it traditionally used to be. But now with Spellbound Creepers, you can actually get the dream of going skies, attack, instant in, read the runes, get those 4 rune chants, and use them. Yeah. That's where the creepers started to really open up those doors. But yeah, the thorns actually started to come into play after playing into Finbar. This actually was originally Duskblade, and the deck was just meant to be a really simple strategy of play skies, play attack action, play Duskblade, build up the Duskblade, and then halfway through the game it was rubbish. It was just not working because you were like, oh yeah, you need to block, don't you? And now
then it was banned.
Yeah.
And then well, this was I actually moved away from that card before it was banned, and then I started to soon realize that it's actually a chain card, because of he banishes and so on. But anyway, who cares? So as I was playing with Finbar halfway through the game, he was playing Briar, and he said, "Do you want to do another rematch?" And I was like, being really miserable, going, "No, this deck is absolute trash." And he went, "No, just have another one, have another go." And I went, "Fine, and I'll have another go." And I copied and pasted Rosetta Thorns and went, "But I'm using Rosetta Thorns because I can't not be bothered." And he went, "Okay." And then
then it was born.
And then it was literally born just then. And we were both I was playing this going, "This is stupid." And he was like, "This is stupid." I was like, "No, this is really stupid." But why am I the pressure this creates is just unreal. So there we go. And then at that point I went, "Okay, I'm gonna roll with this." And then I took it to a bunch of Kiwis and they took it seriously, and then it just grew my hype up even more to going, "Oh, I know, actually I think this is pretty good." And then I was like, "Oh, but I don't know." But I did know, deep down I did know.
And you stuck with it and did a lot of testing as well, which I think was key to really. And you said that, we'll get into the cards in a second, but you said that you were sitting down at this tournament, people were just looking at this Viserai and being like, well, I've not got a plan for Viserai, whatever, I'll just throw anything in. And
I swear I had one or two people just go up and go, "Oh, Viserai, this should be all right." And I was like, "We'll see."
Good luck.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know what you're going to play. So I just go, I'm sure you got to make some respects. You just don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what their deck composition is going to look like. But I did feel pretty much sure going, if you don't block properly, this is going to be really bad. Anyway, guys, let's go.
Yeah, let's jump into the cards. So let's get started with the reds.
Right. So this is how I've organized my deck. I have got this is the core, by the way. This is the core. These are the cards that do not come out of the deck whatsoever, right? So the attack action cards are here, and the non-attack action cards are here. So the big thing... Oh, okay. So the big thing that I've got to quiet down now. I've got my wife telling me that the little one's starting to wake. So
she's too excited about Viserai.
Massively excited. So these with the non-attack action cards here, I have to say that Meet and Greet, Rune Flash, Spellblade Strike, and Spellblade Assault are pretty much the true powerhouses of this deck. Yeah, because of the interactions that they make. Spellblade Assault and Spellblade Strike coming in with Meridian Skies to get a go again, making those additional rune chants really ties in so well into Rune Flash. because rune flash costs 1 less for each rune chant you get. So, play Meridian Skies. This is the best one. Into Spellblade Assault, creates 3 rune chants because of Viserai. Come and play Rune Flash for free. So now you've still got 1 resource floating because it costs 2, and then Rosetta for Thorns for 1,
It's
2,
just
and 2.
broken.
It
It's
is.
just broken.
That's what I would like to dub as the cookie cutter turn. Okay, Skies attack Rosetta, but Rune Flash can help just push that even further. Meet and Greet is also another card that can just help push things even further as well. Because if they sit there and go, "Oh, I'll take that 1 arcane damage," oh boy. Meet and Greet's coming in with a go again, makes a rune chant. If it hits, it's almost got the cheekiness of a Meridian Skies Blue. It's if you want to take it, there's another rune chant, and it just gets a little bit out of hand. Command and Conquers, E-Strikes, I think
They're just good cards, aren't they?
they're just good cards. I mean, E-Strike is one of those weird cards that you kind of go, it's not always needed. It's fine some of the time. It's not the most crucial card in the game. I actually block with it probably more times than I probably play with it because it has to have a bit more of a setup. I love it. I love seeing it in Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
And I do like, and if you can play it out of Arsenal, draw a card, and then creepers into a sneaky plunder run. So you just drew the card. Oh, I'll take no blocks. All right, creepers, plunder run. Oh, I'll take another one. Cool, draw another card. Oh no, it's just it doesn't stop. So you can get them. Command and Conquers are obviously really good for aggro deck. It challenges the Arsenal. Don't want to go on into too much about that. Dread Triptych, Vexing Malice, and Spellblade Soul as blues. They're blues. They're the solid blues that I kind of went for. Blues block 3, and they have some utility behind them that if I do need to pull them out and use them, they've got some utility behind it. Spellblade Assault because I like to make 3 rune chants. Vexing Malice. Right, I'll get back to that in a sec. I love Vexing Malice.
Yeah.
Dread Triptych is a really, really cool card, but it's
It's one of those cards
It takes
that I love.
takes a lot of setup, isn't it?
But I don't think I've ever played that card.
I tried. The thing is, I think I only ever play that card if I've ever cracked the Skeletor, and it's most of the time only ever great if you've got a Mordred Tide played, and I even got a Rattle Bones coming out, and then I can bring that out, and then I play that, and then if they took the arcane damage, that makes 6. It can explode in different ways, but in itself, it's on its own, it's pretty rubbish, to be honest. It's nothing special. Now, Vexing Malice, I've won so many games with Vexing Malice. It's unreal because everyone said,
"Yeah,
it's the best."
Such a good card.
It's
chain all the time. Just the 2 on damage. It's just most people run Null Rune 1. Some people don't run any Null Rune. It just basically puts
they're
people
crazy.
on there. Well, you're dead. There's nothing you can do.
If they run none, just GG,
against
man.
this deck,
yeah, absolutely. But so a lot of the time, a lot of people sort of get really worried about Rosetta Thorns close in the game, and most of the time it does because of the 2 arcane. But on a pinch, you can be like, I've got to block up, and then the opponent's like, got it, because they need to have a 3-card hand to get the Rosetta going, and then you just go, okay, cool, Vex in, and they're like, all right, that's that, GG. Although just be mindful though, if you are playing Viserai, Arknight Skullcap. It's probably that thing that everyone forgets. It actually saves your bacon so much in this deck. That's the core attack action cards. Stick with them all the time. Occasionally, I think I took out 1 E-Strike for the Lightning Briar list, I think. But overall, don't really panic too much about it. Stick with this. This is, from my count, 27 attack action cards. All right, that's important later when we get into the sideboard. Non-attack action cards, I mean, pretty straightforward. The Meridian Skies, man, big bread and butter of the deck. It just creates all the magic. It's the reason why everyone has a heart attack. It's the reason why everybody hates it when you go Meridian Skies and then you hear the words, how many of them have you got? I swear you're lucky you've always got one of them. And you're like, well, kind of like when you see Drinthia playing a Warrior's Valor. You're
Yeah.
like, how many have you got?
All of
9.
All of them.
All of them. It's pretty good. So, it feels like that, but that's because it's such a crucial card, really. It just makes awkward blocks all the time. We'll go up to the top here. Sonata, Plunderer. I think they're the creeper cards, right? They create plays, they create moments. They can be very good on, without just doing creeper moments. If you've got a hell of a lot of rune chance, you can I'm jiggling around now. You can pop the Bloodsheath Skeletor, and that's just going to create a massive turn if you've got loads of rune chance, and then this will pop off. Plunderer, Plunderer's pretty cool. Just to if you're in a bit of a pickle, you can just play this out of Arsenal and threaten a massive hit. If you with an E-strike or Command and Conquer for 9. Do you want to take a Command and Conquer for 9? Just those sort of plays, or like I said, just playing a cheeky meet and greet or Spellblade Assault or Spellblade Strike. Just pitch and play, and everyone goes, what are you up to? That seems a little bit too simple. And you're like, it's up to you, man. I'll block for 4. Cool. Yeah, don't play it. It's all good. I'll block for 3. Aha. Got you now.
Yeah,
Plunderer.
that's when you're using the Spellbound Creepers to play the Plunderer at instant speed there in the reaction step. So if they don't block enough, you can just play it, and if they don't have a defense reaction, you've guaranteed the draw from Plunderer as opposed to just playing it up front.
And I like playing the Plunderer if it came out of Arsenal. So that they'll hit, and it'll get the hit, get the go again, draw the card, and then the next card I'm going to play is going to get +3. And there have been times where I then Meridian Skied, then play, meet and greet or something for 7. And they're like, what? Stop! Mordred Tide is, if you're new to Viserai, Mordred Tide is busted in Viserai because think of it as a high octane turn. It's the big play. It's the big play card. It's the thing that's going to boost everything up into the silly values. And you need to. It's a great card to have in Arsenal, and to have that massive setup turn to just go nuts with the rune chance. Down here, become the Arknight. It's pretty nutty, to be honest. Blue, block 3, tutor card. It's it's one me. It's not the easiest Sonata trigger. It could be because you don't have to trigger the text. This text is actually been errated, so I know that the TTS hasn't errated it, but it says may, so you don't actually have to discard a card or anything. You can just play it and go, I choose nothing. Job done. So it could be used in that way. I prefer to sort of use it for its intended purpose, or pitch or block. Most of the time it's pitched or blocked.
Yeah, still a blue that blocks 3, right? Not bad.
Yeah. Open the Arknight. Again, it's a pitch, block 3. It's fine. I have occasionally used it. There have been moments where I felt like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it and use it. I've just been given a whole hand of fistful of blues. Could be fine in that moment.
And it gives you +2, really, doesn't it? For a cost of 2, it gives you +2, 1 rune chant and a power on your next attack.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's for a card for what it is fine. But most of the time you will be pitching with it and blocking with it. This card, Now, this card is what I would like to dub as the scab skin leathers of the deck.
Card sucks.
Yeah, it's all right. But it has got me out of jams. It's up to be honest with you, this card after playing with it is a big up to you. I would probably imagine you might want to side this out with Stinger Sorcery possibly, because it kind of does it's blue, pitch 2, cost 1. I have been told on loads of different ones, but the reason I really went with this in the end is because I don't ever really intend to use it all the time, but I just know that if you're in a jam, sometimes you just need to, you just need to just roll that dice a little bit. And I know there's so many games where I've went, I'm just gonna do it, and then when it pops off and you get that and that, you're just elated, and it's
I
you
think
should, yeah,
I think
it could
it's one of
just
those
be the game.
confidence cards, isn't it? It's like either when you're having a really good game and it's in your hand and you're like, well, why not just try it? And then it comes off and it finishes the game for you, or you're really down on your luck and you're thinking, I just need a miracle, and it kickstarts the comeback. It's one of those
It
like
does.
really momentum changes.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, that's why I like it. Plus, it's a blue pitch too. Yeah, I can imagine a lot of people probably make an argument about this one, and I don't blame them. So, yeah, is there any sort of questions on your part?
No, so this is your core, right? So this is
Yeah,
the core that goes in. I would you say every single matchup. This core set of
yeah,
cards, but so obviously it's less. It's currently less than 60, correct? So there's a sideboard that you bring in.
yeah. So
Um,
this is 57.
yeah,
Oh, sorry, this is 27. Attack action cards, and I believe this is 23 if I can count. I think I think this is 23 to my count.
right.
So, yeah, so, I mean, it would be nice if I actually had a bit more of a better.
Makes a 50 card
So,
deck.
Yeah, so you've got
there
10
you go. It
cards,
does.
10 cards space that you can move your sideboard into. And I assume, are you running a 60 card deck most of the time, or are you going up above that for a few
Mo
matchups?
so the majority of the time the deck sits at 61.
Okay,
With 61.
one,
In the
one,
Lightning
one,
Briar
one
match,
for
it's
luck.
60. Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's only one. So I'll move over to my
Yeah.
sideboard.
Okay.
Da-da-da-da. It's this guy.
Yeah.
This guy ends up being the one that kind of just goes over, right?
Just
So
zoom in a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Nice.
yeah, oh, we got it all there. All right, okay. Actually, I do need to pull out my little list.
Oh.
I look at this deck and I have the benefit of having tested with Hamish for the last month. And it gave me pause for thought because I thought, oh no, here comes another Viserai. Hamish has done this before, and then he proceeded to wipe first my Katsu and then my Briar, completely burned me to the ground. And I actually had to think to myself, like, if I want to get not only two top eight, but do any good in top eight, I need to be able to beat this deck. So
Yeah.
actually, Hamish, you have to take some credit for shaping my deck as it was
Oh,
as well.
thank you. So, oh, that's good to hear. So, my list of scrambled writing that I carefully folded up into my deck box that I took to nationals. I'm gonna need this because there is a lot going on here. Right, okay. So I think I'll just basically start this up from the top because I instead of just explaining why every single card is in there, I think what I'm going to do is just go down with with the heroes and the
Yeah.
cards that I would pick with it. Okay. So for Bravo and Oldhim, and I also put Dory in this as well. I went with all the defense reactions. I put all the defense reactions in. They're pretty much very crucial
Mm.
for Drinthia and Bravo. I have also put in the 3 read the runes because when it comes to Bravo and Drinthia, there you need to have huge blowout turns. You cannot just rely on the cookie cutter turn of Meridian Skies into Spellblade Strike into Rosetta Thorns, right? You need to have these huge blowout turns. And Read the Runes is one of those sort of cards that can create those. The 2 red Meridian Skies, you're probably thinking, why are they in the sideboard? Because they are only in the deck 95% of the time. So the 5% that they're not in the deck, there's a reason. So if they're not in the deck 100% of the time, they're sitting in the sideboard. But yeah, 95% of the time, these two are out. So these two are in, and a card that's probably slightly controversial to some, Old Rattlebones. I love this card so much. This card can create the most ridiculous plays in the whole in the game, in my opinion, because it's so outrageous when you're coming in with just one arcane and Rivian Skies into a Spellblade Strike, and they're like, I'll take that one arcane. You fool! You should never have took that arcane. You will now get absolutely bashed to bits after I Bloodsheath Skeletor into a Rattlebones for free. And now Rattlebones makes another rune chant. So now I can just find, I don't know, whatever I goddamn want in my bin. And I'll play that for free. And because it's an instant, I'll get another action point. So this card I just dragged out of the bin is just coming out for free and it's costing nothing. You're a fool. And now they're like, oh no, what have I done? And I'll go, yeah, that's right. You just got handed by Rattlebones. And that's what you need to do against Bravo.
Yeah.
And you need to do it in that way, exactly how I explained it. You fool. Gotcha. And to amplify the Arknights and one Ninth Blade is pretty much the Bravo.
Yeah, so for Bravo, Alden, and Dory, you're seeing all the defense reactions, the 3 Read the Runes, the 3 Maruvian Skies red, the 2 Amplify the Arknight red, and 1 Ninth Blade of the Arknight, right?
Yeah, I pretty much I slot in all of these cards here.
Yeah.
For
65 card package for Bravo.
Yeah, with Drinthia, I throw that in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're probably asking, why do you not put this in against Bravo? Because it doesn't block. And out of all the heroes, Bravo and Oldhim, they are laced to the teeth with blues. So having a card that creates a rune chant, it just doesn't have that same level of impact when the day you draw it is the day that you turn around and go, oh, here comes Crippling Crush.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just don't want to take that risk. But other than that, yeah, this card tends to show up in most of the matches. And you know what? I'm actually going to leave these 3 here. All right. And there's going to be a big reason for this. This card is probably just going to go sit on its own somewhere. This card basically only got 2 because of Prism. But we'll move on to Prism, actually. We'll move on to Prism. Right. So, Prism matchup. You never guess what, boys. I put in quite a few 6s. So, these get thrown in. What else gets thrown in? The Lead the Charges. Now, they're cards that I really don't actually bother putting into the deck that much because I have actually had quite a few people come up and ask me and go, why don't you just put in all of them in? Just put all of them in all the time. And it's the actual problem with that is actually that's a trap. You do not want to draw 3 go again action cards.
Yeah.
And one attack action. Oh, actually, no, 1 attack action might be all right. But if you just draw a fistful of non-attack action cards, you're just like...
Yeah, if you're running 8 copies of Maruvian Skies and then you're adding even more...
11 copies.
Kind of worse versions of... Well, they are worse versions of Maruvian Skies in the vast majority of cases, right? So,
pretty much.
Except to get Prism, you don't want a handful of that and then you just have nothing to do.
So
the wording distinction is important against Prism, right? Because it makes you an action point. It doesn't give you go again.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's the reason why that's him. And it's yellow as well because I need to throw in some more yellows in case they play library. And yeah, I mean, it just in its core, that's what I put it in for. And it's kind of wild, really, because there is a lot of cards that I've actually put in to deal with Prism, and lo and behold, I never actually played her.
Yeah.
So what's the exact Prism sideboard? So the ones you've got right here, all the 6 attack pluses, the 3 Lead the Charges, the Gorganian Tome, and the Rattlebones, and the Shard.
Yes. So this here is the full makeup of it.
Nice.
So I believe there is
That'll be a
10
60 card. Yeah.
cards. Yeah, that should be a 60 card deck there. I think I actually slapped in the G tome as well. Oh no, I put in 2 read the runes as well.
Yeah.
Just to again make those big blowout plays. I also wrote on my list as well. I took the 1E strike out because that was the reason why. Because I actually put in 4 attack action cards, and I'm very, very strict on keeping this as a 30 attack action card only side. And there's 27 here, so I didn't want to have 31. And I thought E-Strike was the least important card in there. So if I'm going to put 4 in, I take E-Strike out, basically.
Especially against Prison. You want to keep your Commander Conquers, don't you, for the 6?
Yeah, exactly. But that's pretty much the only time you will ever see that second Ninth Blade in there. So now that we got it out of the way, that can be put in there forever out of the way. Okay? In the bin, you'll never see it again. I mean, even if you can get around it without using it, probably all the better. But if you're not sure, play with. If you're not sure, play with 4. There you go. That's my rhyme for the day. Briar, Lightning Briar, or Earth Briar. God knows what you're gonna blimmin' do. This is the hardest part with Briar, okay? Because you just do not know what you're gonna face. So I was a bit lucky. I knew Simon was going to play Earthbriar, so I had a Simon sideboard specifically, but only because I knew you were going to play Earthbriar. But I had to. But this is the thing. If you know the opponent's going to go and play some Earthbriar, to be honest with you, I did actually sit there and think I'll probably just keep this the same. I might just add in a few more read the runes into the mix, but I'll show you what my Briar makeup was pretty much all the defense reaction cards, 3 consuming, so important, and the shard.
Nice.
That's pretty much it.
So the Consuming Volition is a card where if you've dealt arcane damage, if it hits, they're forced to discard a card, which is really strong. It was a good card that people were playing in the chain meta as well, especially in the chain mirror, to force a discard of your opponent. Very good against Katsu as well, aggro Katsu.
Yeah.
Really nice card in this deck as well. And it's 1 deal 4, and you can play it off Maruvian Skies.
There you go. It ticks a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
The defense reactions are
Cheerio Briar works in 4s, so the defense reactions are blocked with 4 deny the embodiment as well, which is really nice. Yep,
and the shard is pretty good. You know, you just want to generate that rune chant and just try and push through.
So
no, they don't.
Any rune chant is -1 health on the opponent, basically. So the more the merrier, I guess.
And it's a 60 card deck. You got to be tight. You got to find these key cards as fast as possible. You can't be having a bigger deck. If you're going to be if someone's going to be coming in hot, you need to be having the tightest deck you can possibly get to find all the answers you need. You don't want to be waffling around.
And you're not going to run the Gorganian Tome YOLO. Go for the double draw.
Oh, the G Tome. Oh, mate. I mean,
that won me a game against the Lightning Briar mirror because I drew mine second.
Yeah, to be fair though, it is one of those ones where I'm like, if I put it in and they play it, you know,
you're gonna pop off.
This is gonna be gas. But if this doesn't work,
no, you don't want to give Lightning Briar more gas as well.
So I just thought, you know what? I'll leave it. It's fine. I'll take it out.
This looks good. So this is a super tight list.
So yeah, to me as well, the need to have a synergy of what normally is 30 attack action cards, normally 30 non-attack action cards. In this, Lightning Briar really pushes this to the test even more. So to try and get a Sonata to be very balanced with time, it's really just not that crucial. You've got to play a really smart blocking game, maximizing the most out of your battle-worn equipment, and just being as clever, trying to be as clever as you can to try and get the most out of the attacks. And I'm not gonna lie, it's really difficult. But you've got a fridge and a load of armor and pretty much unblockable damage through arcane. So you've got to make the most out of doing that. And play against it. That's my solid advice. Yeah, and if it's the Earthbriar, probably just throw maybe these two in, maybe one, kind of not overtly too, fussed really. That playing against Earthbriar, it's pretty easy to be honest.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm,
I'm not
I'm,
saying
I'm,
anything.
no, I like it when we get to Simon's deck tech and be like, playing against Viserai is like really easy. It's fine.
We
No, but yeah,
definitely we definitely split matches. It was it's definitely a tricky matchup.
yeah, it's a game of where you have to know when to pivot and when to start going in. But anyway, yeah, that's the Briar package. So Chain Katsu and Lexi, pretty similar in my opinion.
Yeah.
I actually took out two defense reaction, two sinks, no, three sinks, two fates, one shard. The consuming volition stay. I actually put in two red skies.
Yeah, I
And
like
it
that.
says there I've got one rattle bones and one Jutone.
Yeah. I
So
really
that
like
puts me
that
at
red
1, 2, 3.
skies against the aggro decks.
Yeah.
I just think that red skies is such a
Have I got that? It says it. Oh, okay. So when it comes to Katsu, I put down here no Jutome, no rattle bones, just
cool.
to keep it kind of tight.
So with the Lexian chain, we've got what we see here with the shard, the two fates, the three sinks, the three consumings, the two red Maruvians. But
Yeah.
for is it for the when do you
Well,
bring the tome and the
for it's saying here for Katsu. So actually, this is the Katsu list.
yeah
This is the Katsu list. And if it's the Lexi list, I take the Fates out and I put in the Rattlebones and the G-Tone for Lexi and Chain.
yeah
Nice.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, because Lexi is a bit tricky, but you can actually you got to try and push past and threaten her hand. And with Command and Conquers and Consuming Volition, they're cards that are just going to really make them start to strip their hand a little bit. And once you start to gain that tempo a little bit, that it can really work in your favor. So and chain, tricky one. Never actually.
Yeah.
This is probably where you may want to put in the Crown of Dichotomy.
Interesting.
It is a bit of a hard call to make. Chain really has lost a lot of his pushing power with Arcane. But you should never ever forget that he still would run the Arknight Grasp, and if you don't have any means to deal with his Arcane, the last thing you want is to get that one Arcane ping followed up by a Rip Through Reality turn. That's where Chain really gets his muscle from. So if you're probably just not sure, I just run a Crown of Dichotomy so you can leave yourself some open options for a good solid block, because Chain isn't exactly always catching you out due to the banish zones being open information most of the time. But if you're feeling a bit fruity, don't run it.
I think some chains have leaned more into the substandard blood decked attacks as well, which do deal arcane damage and gain benefits. So the piercing shadow vice, for example, which gets the +2 if you've dealt arcane. So and they run consuming. And they run meet and greet sometimes, so I do agree with that pick. Just being able to, you said in this, I love it when people don't run Narwoon against this deck, and I imagine the chain player is probably thinking the same thing. So,
yeah, exactly. So with the chain. So if you're running with chain, this is your setup, but just throw in the crown, take out the Arknight Skullcap. If you're running Lexi, keep it as the Arknight Skullcap. Run all these lot. If you're running Katsu, chuck in two fates. Instead, and take these two cards out. So you've got a little bit more blocking power for these big horrible attacks. And Consuming Volition, they hate it. And I love it. So there you go. Right, so that is the Chain Katsu and Lexi matchup. We've got Dash. Right, so Dash is pretty much very similar. Right, so I take out all the defense reactions against Dash. I have a shard. I take out the consuming volitions because dash blocks very well. So if you're taking these three out, you basically put these three in.
Hmm.
That's kind of like the bread and butter thing. Consuming volition after the aggro guys that really like their hand. These are the cards you pick when you're playing up against heroes that are really controlly and they want to block a lot.
Mm.
So you need to have some bigger pushing power to go over that. Have the red skies. We put these two in as well just to go over. I actually put in one lead the charge because I probably had a few to drink when I wrote this, and but it's fine. I don't mind lead the charge having just that additional one more
Yeah, and
push over.
going wide against Dash is really nice, so I can see it, I guess.
Yeah, I think I put it in and was kind of like had this moment of thinking, have I, you know, like you said, going wide does do quite a lot. So that leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that's what I've got in here. So this is the cards that I would slot in the Dash matchup. Most of the time, Dash, you got to sort of look at this and go, I think you're going to play control because the last thing you want to be is not having a good time. If they're really controlling everything up, they will run Arcane Barrier, and they're also a hero quite like Bravo, where they will run a bonkers amount of blues, so they will block up your Arcane pretty well, which is why you need Read the Runes to blow them out and force them to have a hard time dealing with all that Arcane damage. Yeah, Rattle Bones, you know the score. G-Tome, you know what you need. You start to see where we're going with this now as the list starts to progress. Why you're slotting in these cards. Blowouts, big hits, go wides, big blowout turns, and, flexing.
Extra chip damage.
Yeah, and I actually will make a point about the Arknight Shard near the end. Oh man, I put in Levia and Reinar. Right, I actually did play up against Levia in the Nationals, and I'm so glad I wrote something down for it because I really was just not sure what to do against Levia because I actually never had the opportunity to play up against it. So, what did I do? Shard Amp. All right, I think I just did this. Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, I think that looks reasonable.
Yeah, that's literally all I did. I just took these out. I took out the Read the Runes because I felt that Reiner was in a position where he was going to start stripping my hand, and I just didn't really want to be left with. I've got Read the Runes. Oh, this is not a good card for me to want to block with. And most of the time, you can actually just push over quite a lot of damage without it. It's not they're not heroes that run a hell of a lot of blue, so you don't need to worry too much about trying to blow them out with more rune chants. So that's fine. And the Sink Belows are kind of put in there for the barraging beatdown turns.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sink Below into Arsenal. They're going to go, and you go, cool, 2-card block. That'll stop that.
It's really good against pulping as well to have the double block.
Yeah, pulping and those sort of things as well. So yeah, I don't need to attack their hand, so consuming's not in. So I'll put these three in. Blow out, go wide. I think I did lead the charge in there as well. Yeah, that's what I put in for Reinar. Levia, I literally had no idea and went, oh, she's a brute, so that will do.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, and yeah, it worked. I think I got a little bit lucky, to be honest, in round 1 against Daryl Hazelden. Really, really, really good Levia player. I got a little bit lucky, to be honest, and managed to block out correctly. He also didn't really play up against Viserai, so he was learning what was happening.
Both sides, really. Yeah, you're both sort of testing each other out.
Pretty much. So I will move on to Bolton. So Bolton is a hero that likes his hand. So straight away they come out.
Yeah. Think to
They
yourself,
come in.
do they like having a full hand? If so, put the consumings in.
You got it. This is getting it. I don't put this. Oh, I do put the shard in actually. 1 Rattle Bones, 2 Skies. Need the charge. I don't have in because I need to tighten the deck up, and it says I don't have a G-Tome in here. Okay. I think I. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
You're a
7.
few cards short there.
Yeah, I am. What have I put in? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I did actually have 10.
Any defense reactions?
Oh, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I can see the defense reactions being good because they don't, you can run a lot of non-attack actions to be
Yeah.
fair, but they also don't turn on the +1 for the sabers
Yeah.
and stuff.
So basically it looks very similar-ish to Katsu, but I put in the Railbones because it's a non-attack action card that blocks for 3, which is pretty good against Bolton, and that's the sole
Huge.
reason that card's in.
And it's fun,
Yeah, yeah,
it's just a
it's
fun
fine.
card that does weird shit in the game.
If you can blow them out, that's
Yeah.
cool. So you really don't know whether you're going to be playing up against Bolton Sabers or Bolton Raidens. So at the end of the day, just consume Volition them. So that's my answer. Don't play Sabers. It's not that great. Anyway.
The
And then-
anti-sabers continues even into your Viserai decks.
Yeah, don't play Sabers. And then I move on to Wizard, and I actually writ the words, I have no idea.
Well, I guess
But-
you have skull caps.
But I actually have written some stuff down. So you have the Shard, you have 2 red skies, you have the Ninth Blade. Actually, I put both copies in. I lied. I put 2 copies of Ninth
Wow.
Blade in. I have 1 amp Fly the Arknight because I need to have my 30 card attack actions. I've got 2 Lead the Charges. I actually didn't put in Consuming Volitions because I had a feeling they were going to just empty the hand before I threaten it. That might be a wrong call, to be honest, so it's up to you.
Yeah.
And I put in the 2 Read the Runes. I honestly have no idea.
I quite like
But-
You're a
that.
better man than I because I didn't even come up
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, I quite
I-
like the
I gave-
consuming against Kano
So-
because they also really like to keep their hands. For mana.
Yeah, I probably, you could easily just swap these out for a Consuming Volition and attack the hand. I went for these because they're yellow.
Yeah.
That's literally my thinking behind it. But yeah, there you go. That's my sideboard plan against all of the heroes. And yeah, I hope
Yeah,
that
I hope
that sideboard plan was pretty helpful.
Yeah, well, we've got a little bit of time just to talk about the tournament itself. So I think, could you talk about which heroes you went up against and maybe talk about how those matches went?
Oh, okay, right. So I played up against Levia. That was that was round 1, so that was a really interesting matchup. I believe I only pulled the win out of that one. Pull the win out of that one because Darren blocked with a card that he actually wanted to play with, and I was a little bit like, oh, that's it's nuts. It's kind of like, oh, it's a shame. Sorry, dude, but we're gonna have to. That was the block. And it was actually a card that was going to banish 3 cards from his graveyard to his banish zone to turn off the blood debt. That was the only one he had in his hand. So he played out his attack. I blocked it up, and then he took 4 blood debt damage. And it was actually, when we mathed it up in the end, if he had 4 more health, I would have been in a lot of trouble. And it was actually like, oh, it's funny that how many turns ago that actually was
Yeah, that's Flesh
a
and Blood
really
right
big
there.
deciding factor.
Yeah.
That's Flesh and Blood right there. So that was round 1. Round 2, I played up against a Bravo.
Yep.
And that was fine. The Bravo player he played it okay. He played it pretty well. He came in with his crippling crushes and the spinal crushes. But it turned into it was a bit of a game where if he had it, and he went, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to play it. There's no setup. I've got it. I've got the resources. The hand is telling me to play it, so I will. The Bravo player was just playing crippling crushes out of his hands, which was like, okay, well, that's fine. I got, loads of armor. I'll just block that out. And he didn't quite. He then started to see the predicament of Spellblade Strike into Removian Skies.
Yeah.
And I'm promising you, everyone, the day they say no blocks is the day you go, I think I'm going to win this now.
Yeah.
Because it gets a bit out of hand very, very, very quickly. And I tell you what, actually, I've got my round 2. I'm going to win this, sort of overexcited, didn't think, I was super confident moment when I was like, all right, dude's on 1. I'm on 12. Easy. And I just went, all right, Vexen Malice. And I was like, GG, man. And he went, not GG. And I was like, oh, not GG.
Talk out.
Ah. And I was like, oh, got a little bit. Oh, I went a little bit early there, boys.
They're on sigil
went a
as
little-
well, mate.
I know. I got a little bit, And then he was like, I blocked it out. And yeah, although he did say it's kind of mad. Unfortunately, I had to chuck too much away to deal with that. I think I also had a rune chant as well, so he had to pitch 1 blue to deal with the rune chant. Then he had to pitch another blue to deal with the 2 arcane,
Right.
and then he also had to block another card just to deal with the 1 because he had no armor. And it was like 3 cards for 1 card. Was like,
It's a good trade for you.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, maybe I got overexcited, but you had to sort of do all sorts of Cirque du Soleil stuff just to get past Vexen Malice. And then I just drew up the God Hand of that into that. And then that was pretty much game really. But really lovely dude. So that was game 2. Game 3 was my favorite game of the entire tournament. It was Shingo, Sharif Shaban. Oh my days. So he sat down and he went, I really wish it wasn't you. And I said, yeah, I really wish it wasn't you either. And he said, but and he says, I'm not very confident. And I thought I'd just edge him out a bit and just say, I'm feeling really confident. And deep down, I was like, this is horrible. This is not the matchup I want to see. Luckily enough, and I will give some mad shout outs to some of the Kiwi guys of Rohan, Jason Light, and Matt, who were taking their time to really sit down and test that game into me. Mostly Rohan, just for 3 straight days was just pummeling me to bits with that deck. And then when it came to actually and you can really tell when someone has been playing, when you got someone like Rohan who's very, 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 very good player, taking that deck into you. And then I think Shingo only had like a couple of reps with it. It suddenly meant, oh my god, this is a lot more easier to deal with when someone is just picking this up for the first time, and they're also trying to work out, what do I do against you? Even though Shingo did know what this deck did, but he didn't know what his deck needed to do against this, whereas I knew exactly what I needed to do against his deck. And it was still close, but I managed to block it out and see it through to the end. And I think I even managed to be cheeky enough to blow him out and use creepers, which I think is really cheeky. Anyway, so that was round 3, and that was done. I don't think I'll bother going through with the draft.
Just cover the CC games.
So draft 2 and 1 so I was pretty happy. I pretty much felt like I was going to win. There was one more game, and that was in. So that was the first game was up against another Bravo, and he again went, "Oh, I've never played up against Viserai. I really don't know what I'm gonna. I assume I think I know what to do." And I think he teched wrong. He didn't run Arknight Skullcap. He run the Null Rune Hood, and kept his Mage Master boots. And I thought to myself, "Oh, this is brilliant. he's got even less armor, and he can't even stop any of my arcane for 2. This is and it proceeded into. I think, like I'm telling you, the day they say no blocks, and especially when they say no blocks to these,
just extra free damage.
Yeah, turn 2, they suddenly go, oh, 4, 2 and 2. Yeah, sorry, mate, that's 8 damage for 1 resource. And the panic sets in. So fair. It was a fair enough game. I think he took a big Meridian Skies hit to set up a Spinal Crush turn, to which I was very lucky. I drew into a Sink Below,
Mm.
as and yeah, I don't even think the spinal crush wasn't even dominated. I think he just came in with a spinal crush with two floating resources, and I'm like, my oh my, I wonder what these two floating resources are going to
Yeah.
be. It could quite well be a giant pummel. So I think I had block for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it was like 9 straight up, and I just had a sink sitting in hand for him to go red pummel and a sink. So I think that turn there that he was setting up and he took a huge amount of
Mm.
rune chant damage to make that happen
Yeah,
and it just stopped and yeah, and the tempo just swung in my way from that point.
and you still have a couple of sticks you can hit back with, even if you do get spinaled. Like because if you've got rune chants built up, you can always just swing at them for for 6, or even just
Yeah,
build the 4,
Mm.
make 2 rune chants one, and just get even more rune chants. And you've got the line that you can do with the go again, but you still have access to a big stick to hit them with if you can't do that too. So
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of wiggle room there.
yeah, there is, which I like about it. You've got options even when things go wrong to do something big. I guess that's the benefit of a card like Command and Conquer as well. There's
Yeah,
throwing out a
you
Command and
can,
Conquer is never that bad. Like
no, exactly. You're like, oh, I've had to block up. What are you gonna do? Command and
Command and
Conquer
Conquer,
six. Here you go.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They
it's
always
just
cry.
yeah, that Arsenal. Yeah, I'm gonna go for it anyway. So yeah, that was that, and then I played up against the one game I lost in the entire CC, which was the Death Dealer Lexi deck. John did turn around and go again. Well, Viserai, I have no idea what I'm gonna do up against this, and I was like, well, I think I know what you're gonna do. So and if when I heard it was a Death Dealer Lexi deck throughout the tournament, I was like, well, I haven't actually accounted for that because I thought that was a giant meme.
Mm.
So,
Mhm.
but it is aggressive, so I'll treat it like a Lightning Briar list. So the defense reactions are going in, and consuming visualizations are going in, etc. etc. Yeah, I just got blew out basically. I thought it would be running. I think he might even have it. I'm not sure, but I thought he didn't play really any three of a kinds.
Yeah.
It was very, very similar to a Lightning Briar list, where it was Ball Lightning into zero
Yeah.
cost before Ravelous Rabble and all that sort of stuff. So it was just like, oh my god, this is all coming in, and I just didn't block appropriately at that moment, and yeah, I got blew out. I did get some big hits in him, and that got him really scared. I love it when people, when I say consuming volition, and I have you just got one blue card, pitch, make a rune chant, play consuming volition, one arcane. He doesn't have any. He could pitch
Yeah.
up for arcane, but this is ranger. He doesn't want to be losing cards, and then they pick it up and have a look and go, what?
Yeah.
So if I take this arcane, I'm like, yeah, it's a pummel. And they just look at it for ages and scratch their head for ages and go, oh no, I don't like any of that. So yeah, but it doesn't really matter. I've lost that. And then I went on stream and played up against Dash, and yeah, did the biggest almighty hit I think I've ever done in playing this deck of a plunder run out of Arsenal. Meridian Skies yellow, I think, could have been red. Meridian Skies yellow into a amplify the arknight, and he said no blocks.
Ah.
Thank you.
I was like, here we go, here we go, yeah, and then he just went, oh, and then yeah, I think he did all that for a high octane turn,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, okay, so here we go, high octane turn, and then I think unlucky for him, he drew 2 items out of that,
Oh.
so he took an absolute kick just to do that. And then, yeah, you can watch that on the stream on Tabletop 24, and then you can proceed to see me having a very hard time understanding the lines of what I can do on stream when I'm playing out a flipping Become the Art Knight, ditching a Rune Flash to find Rattle Bones to. Oh my God, I don't even know what I was doing. I was trying to. I was on another planet.
Trying to be
for
clever,
a
weren't
little-
you?
yeah, and then I tried to, I pretty much tried to be a bit clever, but I actually wrote down his health on my piece of paper as 4. So if you see on the stream, his health is 3, but my piece of paper, I forgot that he took 1 ping of rune chant, so it said 4. So
Oh.
my head for ages was trying to math out a way to really get pass over the line and not leave him with 1 health and me bust out all that equipment. But if I knew he had 3, I would have put it. We would have made things a little bit easier. But on 4, things were just not looking good. So I did all that work to get a 9th blade, and in the end, I did ask the guy, and it would have been fine if he said no. I would have just played it anyway to say, can I take that back and play the Rune Flash? And he very, very, very kindly said yes, which was, whatever. People can probably go, and I would have played it anyway. But if, but I said, to be honest, I actually just did worse stuff. I blew up a fully 2 armored Bloodsheath Skeletor to play out a Rune Flash that I discarded to find. So basically, say I'm going to put this in the bin to find a card that can play that card that I just discarded out of the bin. It was like, why did I do that? And I did that for 2 rune chants.
And
that was it.
Tell us about your final game of the tournament. So obviously you made the top
against
8,
George.
and you played up against George.
Well, George absolutely creamed me for absolutely smashed me to bits. I played up against another Bravo, but this Bravo had 3 red pummels, 3 turns consecutively in a row, and and then Snar doesn't work. You've got all red hands when you want to go. You've got all blue hands when you don't want to go. It was
what it is, isn't it? It happens.
It is what it is. But he played that very, very well, and I just I couldn't swing it back, and that was that really. I think I only managed to do 1 turn of spell. I think I had 2 Become the Arknights and 2 Blue Meridian Skies. I was like, what? I was like, what? And then luckily, I think he didn't even do much, and I just went, right, okay, fine. Become the Arknight. Ditch of Meridian Skies. Find a Spellblade Assault. Play my Blue Meridian Skies. Pitch my other Become the Arknight to play Spellblade Assault. Coming in for 4 and 3 rune chants, and he's like, I'll block it with my sync that I've had in my arsenal for 5 turns. And I was like, yay, now I can play 3, 2, and 2. And it still goes, that's still not good. I'm like, dude, I'm in so much trouble. But doing that just puts so much pressure onto the opponent to know what they're going to do. Taking 7 for nothing is it's a bit tough. It's tough to swallow.
So that was. So you had an amazing tournament, and I think it's a really strong deck.
Thank you.
Well, we'll try and wrap this up now because we've reached the hour mark. But I just wondered if you wanted to say, if someone's thinking about picking up this deck, what you would say to them, what's the best way to learn this deck? What's the best way to get into it? And is it a deck that you think people should pick up?
It's a deck that what people should 100% pick up. I know that a lot of people want to run a lot of running all the Meridian Skies from red to blue, run in Captain's Call. They want to, put them all in. Have 15, have them all. Make your deck so reams with go agains. That's all it's able to do. It's very, very shallow. You need this deck's strength comes from the ability to pivot in between turns. You've got a fridge full of armor, and a load of cards that you need to block up well. Use it. You gotta be very clever with this deck. It might sound like I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm making this deck sound like it's big brain. There's the cookie cutter turns are not big brain. They're easy, right? And that's where the power of the deck comes in because it has these easy turns. But where you can push it further is when you need to understand when you need to pivot, and when you have these cards like Rattlebones, Become the Arknight, and Meridian Skies all in your hand. Plunder Run with Creepers. Sometimes just not doing that cookie cutter turn is the right thing. Maybe you can just try and outplay your opponent a little bit more. Just play the card outright without using Meridian Skies. Maybe it's sometimes you can just be super clever with things. The deck's complexities come from the lines of play that are available to you, and making the most out of this attack that you can have. is where the deck really starts to shine, in my opinion. And you will lose. You will lose a lot of games trying to figure it out. I promise you, you will. And I plead with you to continue to to keep plugging at it. Viserai is a hero that rewards dedication and and time and a little bit and being a little bit cheeky, right? He's complicated but utterly rewarding. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
Hamish, thanks for being on Push the Point.
Been a pleasure.
Oh
Thanks
man,
for coming.
thanks, man. Thanks.
So I hope you've enjoyed this deck tech. It was an amazing deck, and Hamish did an amazing job with it. We're going to have another deck tech coming soon from Simon, who also made the top 8. He actually made the top 4 with his Earthbriar list. So check that out, coming out soon.
Guys, thank you so much. If there's any comments or anything you want to ask, please leave it into the YouTube comment. I will do all I can to try and reply back to everything. My name is Hamsack on the Discord, so you can ping on me on there. That's totally fine. I'm Hamish Chisholm Brown on the Facebook. If there's any questions that you want to ask, go for it. But honestly, take this deck tech, take what you want from this, run it. I honestly don't think you should change the core cards at all. Probably Tome of the Arknight. The majority of these cards here, I probably would just leave it as well. And go and have fun. He's awesome. So if there's anything you want to know, give us a shout. Happy to talk through it. Okay?
Thanks, buddy.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.